So the game space that we will be working on today is organizing your files and folders, and it is down here. So we're going to organize files and folders, and we're going to go straight to the instructions. And as that pops up, the files and folders on your computer are found in these two little guys here. If you use a Mac, you'll have this little finder, which is this little smiley face guy. And if you have a PC, you'll have this little yellow folder on your computer. And these two little programs are on every computer, whether it's a PC or a Mac. Usually you'll find them down in the toolbar. So here I'm going to show you, this is the Mac toolbar. My little finder is down here because I'm actually on a Mac today. So you'll find this guy here and you'll be able to click on him and see all the files that are in your computer. You see them on the left-hand side here. I have Cloud Drive synchronized with this particular computer. Here I've got OneDrive, I've got a Dropbox, I got a Google Drive, and then I also have the Documents folder that came with my Mac. So today I'm going to hang out mostly in this OneDrive because it's my good example drive. So into this drive, when I'm on the Mac, there's a couple things that I want to do to make it so that I can see the files that I want to see. And one of those things is I like to have my folders on top and my loose random files on the bottom. This happens automatically on the PC, but the Mac, you have to kind of adjust things. And to do that, you go up here to these settings. I'm going to click this little guy, and we're looking for show view options. And in the show view options, we can group your files by name and sort them by kind, and that will arrange them so that you have them alphabetically by name, and then you have your little loose files down here at the bottom. So that's how I generally set up my top level page, top level drive view on my Mac. And we're going to do the same thing now for the PC. So we're going to put my toolbar, hide my toolbar again, and then this time we're going to go ahead and look at a PC computer. So here is the desktop of a PC computer, and notice we have the little folder down here. So that folder is there. And it also has on the left-hand side, you see the various drives that are attached. Notice I have a Google Drive here, and this is a cloud drive synced to this computer. I have a Dropbox, I have OneDrive Personal, and because I have Office 365, I have a OneDrive Professional under my ProTinker name. This computer also is synchronized with this OneDrive here. And I'm in this OneDrive Personal. This is the account that runs this particular computer. So I'm also going to see my desktop in here and my documents folder and then the picture folder that Microsoft sets up for me. So that I can also do this little down arrow and it will show me the same folders that I have here. So I'm going to collapse that just because I like it to look nice and tidy. So both of these views, both your PC and your Mac, you have the ability to organize your folders by name. And that's how I like to do it because then I can decide where on this list my important folders go. If I sort my files by date modified, then it will rearrange them as I have arranged my, or as I have dealt with or edited my folders. And so that can make your folders move around, and that might be why you have a difficult time finding them sometimes, is because they might be just moving around because this one here you dealt with most recently. So I always like to organize mine by name so that I have my numbers at the top and my alphabetical folders down below. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this again and switch back to my Mac and look at this one here. So in my Mac, the next thing that we're going to look at is the view. So you might be opening your computer on your Mac and it may not look like this. Your computer might look more like this. You might have more of these icons. And that's because of this view option up here. So up here at the top of your Finder screen, you can change it to be little icons. You might like that. This view works really well with pictures because then you can actually see the pictures that you have. You can switch it to these little lines, and that will show what I had showed before with the littler folders, and then you have information like when it was modified, what size it is, and what kind of file it is. This next view is more of an outline kind of view. And notice this pictures is highlighted, and we've got a little tiny arrow, and this arrow shows me that these are the folders that are in this picture folder. And I can even go another layer and see these pictures. And then if I click on an individual file, I can see the different pictures that are in there in a more preview sort of arrangement. I can see my fashions, and I can see my cat here hanging out in his little house. This next view here is very nice for pictures like this because you can see your pictures much larger. You can, it doesn't work quite as well for other types of files. Majority of the time, I use this view. And we're going to go back to my top level because these little files are within a subfolder. And I'm going to go back to my top level and click this OneDrive so I can see all the folders in my top level file, top and my top level here. And I will explain top level in just a moment. Now we're going to go back to the PC and see how the views work with the PC. So let's go ahead and bring that PC view over here. So we're now looking at the PC view. And in the PC view, it has on the ribbon, it has this view. Now your PC may, whoop, it's going to refresh, get my connection going again. I have this as a remote computer. So you may not have this whole ribbon on your computer, and it could be simply because it's hiding. So you might just have this file, home, share, view, and when you click on one of these, it'll drop down this menu, and you can keep it there if you want by clicking that little pin, or you can hide it again by clicking this up guy. So viewing your files on your PC, that's controlled by this here, and as we hover over, the icons will change. Here's our large icons. Here we could do it with smaller icons. And then here we've got our detail list where it's got our file name and our date modified and the file type. It doesn't tell you the size of what's in the folders, which is really annoying, but whatever. Along here with these folders, we're going to talk next about top level. So when organizing your files and folders, and I'm going to go ahead and minimize this a bit, and we're going to go back to our instructions here, and we're going to talk about the two types of folders. The two types of folders that you will have in your computer are top level folders and subfolders. Now your computer doesn't really deal with the differences between these two things. These are organizational concepts that you and I know about. Your computer really doesn't care. For defining a top level folder, I consider a top level folder to be these folders here that show up as soon as you go to one of your cloud drives or main drives. So here, these are the top level folders in my OneDrive. If I go to Documents, these are the top level folders in my Documents. And in Dropbox, these are the top level folders that I have here in Dropbox. The idea for your organizational system is to have really between 6 to 12 top level folders. Notice I have more than that, which means I need to scroll up and down to find all my stuff. And that way, the more folders you have in this top level, the more stressful finding things can be. So we want to look through these folders here and determine which ones we actually want on our top level. The next thing to notice in this particular view is I have a couple of loose folders. Ideally, you don't want any loose folders in your top level because that looks cluttery and it can cause you some, what is it, digital psychic grief. and we want to avoid that as much as possible. So beyond your top level folder, we do have subfolders. Now, a subfolder is any folder that's within another folder. So here we've got this pictures folder. The pictures folder is the top level folder. And if we double click it, we'll go into that folder. And here I have several subfolders. And you can pretty much have as many subfolders as you like. I generally will keep them to about 20 or so subfolders within a primary folder. And then I start breaking those down as well. Sometimes you might need subfolders within subfolders within subfolders, but you don't want to get too crazy because it's all about organization. And are you able to find it? This example here where I've got my pictures as my top level folder, if it's a picture, it goes into this pictures folder. So it's very easy to know this is a pretty high level, large category. Now I may have marketing pictures. I can decide whether or not I want a pictures folder in my main level marketing, or if I want to have a sub-level called marketing photos in my picture folder. And that I determine on my own as far as whatever makes the most sense for how I want to organize things. The other thing that you want to consider as you're choosing your top level folders, if you have a ton of folders, and they're just overwhelming you. The best thing for you to do is to look through those folders and find the ones that you go to the most often. Let's say you're always going to your presentation folder or you're always going to your marketing folder. Here, I've already shown I've got an operations folder, a financial folder, and I have my clients folder. So let's say a very important folder for me is also my marketing folder. Putting a number on these folders, and I really would do no more than like I said, 6 to 12. I kind of like to keep it under 9, just because then you can have the single numbers and keep them in the order you want them to be in. Otherwise, they're going to become alphabetical. So I'm going to go ahead and take this marketing folder and I'm going to right click it and it will give me the option to rename it. This same strategy works on the PC. So we click the rename option and notice how it's dark blue here and it gets kind of a light blue there, and this little liney thing, it's no longer an arrow, it goes from arrow to the line. Once it goes to the line, you can click and now you notice we got a blinking line within marketing. This will allow you to rename your file. And so I'm going to use my little arrow keys and move to the beginning of marketing, and I'm going to just put a 4 and a dash. That 4 dash will move this marketing folder to the top. So now he's at the top of my top level folders. And as long as I am sorting my folders by name, I'll be able to see him and find him. This strategy works well for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons is as you go about doing the things you do with your computer, certain programs may plop, for lack of a better term, a folder onto your computer. Such as here in this example, we have an Adobe folder. Well, Adobe put this on my computer and I don't really want to mess with it. So I'm going to leave this alone, but it's Adobe. It starts with an A. This is not my most important folder. But because I have these numbered folders, these ones go above the Adobe folder. And so Adobe folder is really not in my way. Now, as I go about determining which folders are important to me and which ones are not, this is somewhat of a big task in some cases. Here I've got an operations folder, a financial folder, a clients folder, and a marketing folder. As I look through my other folders down below, I have other situations. I have this Adobe and this backup, desktops, documents, email attachments. These are kind of folders that my computer has decided they want. This in process folder, this is a really neat sort of folder that you can have for things that you're just sort of working on. Well, I kind of want it to be up a little bit higher. In fact, I want it to be really, really high. So I'm going to put a 0 and a dash. You could also put an exclamation point, but sometimes your computer will not be real fond of special characters. So if you're going to use special characters, use exclamation points, underscores, and dashes. Those tend to be the safest. I'm going to hit enter and that'll put that in process folder up top here. These next folders are ones I have my name and then another company's name. These are my shared folders. I want to leave them alone because I don't want to mess with them too much because my people over here may or may not understand my little numbering system. This next folder here is my presentation folder. Well, I can decide if this is a folder that I deal with a lot, or if this is a folder that I really only need to go into when I'm in my business mode. I could decide that this presentation is really a marketing thing, and I can click and drag it and plop it into the marketing folder. Now, this can be done a number of ways. As you noticed, what I did is I clicked and held it and drug it over the folder I wanted it to go into, but that might not be the most reasonable way to do things. It works when folders are nearby, but if you have a ton, sometimes that can be a bit difficult. So on the Mac, we're going to talk about moving folders. When moving folders on the Mac, over in this right corner, you have this little plus. If you don't have this little plus, we can turn it on. And to turn it on, you go up to the top and you go to View. And right now I'm showing my tab bar, but if I hide my tab bar, that little plus will go away. So I'd have to go to View and I'll have to show my tab bar. Once I have that plus, I can click on it and I can go into the drive that I want to go to. And I can move things between that. So here, let's say I don't want my presentations folder into my marketing folder. I'm going to just move it back out to my main OneDrive. So my OneDrive is open and that presentation folder is back in the main thing. And I can drag these around and move them back and forth and flop back and forth between them. I can have several open. So like here, let's say I want to have my pictures folder open. And I can move all sorts of files between these various things. So here I'm in my OneDrive and I've got these loose folders here. And I know that, this one here is a picture. And so I can click and hold and drag it over to pictures and let go and it'll drop into that pictures file. See, there it goes right there. So that's how you're maneuvering folder files within your Mac system. Now I'm going to switch over to the PC and we're going to do those maneuverings. I'll right click and we're going to go to my testing. Now here we're on our PC and notice some of the stuff that I have already done on the Mac has shown up because I have these drives synchronized. Here with the PC, we don't have the neat little plus thing. It's kind of a bummer, but we do actually have something that's a bit better. So here on the PC, if I right click and I get my menu, I can, whoops, not right click, regular click. It should be a right click in my opinion. So if I regular click and highlight this and I go to my home ribbon, I've got this option of move to. And in this move to, I can choose a location from the list here, or I can navigate to a different location. And this little window pops up. Here I kind of want to stay in my personal OneDrive, and I want to put this presentations folder in the marketing folder. So I'd highlight the marketing folder and I'd hit move, and it would plop on in there. And then I can go into the marketing folder and I can see it. And let's say that I don't actually want it to stay there. If I click it again in the home ribbon, I can click this move to and decide, oh no, I want it to go back to the main OneDrive. And I click this top level and it will move it back out of that folder and into the main folder. And then I click on that to go back to my OneDrive, my personal OneDrive with this top level. So organizing these top level folders is going to be the first thing you do when you want to organize your file folders on your computer, because you can get, once you get these in order and you've got, all of your little things in the big rooms, then you can go in deeper and go through each one of these bigger folders and organize them into their various subfolders. I'm going to switch back to our Mac, and I'm just going to share with you a couple of different ways of moving files around so that you can learn to do these things quickly. And one of those ideas is choosing a group of files or folders. So when choosing a group of files or folders, let's see if I can find one that has a lot of pictures. Let's see. Let's see which one has the most pictures in it. This is my test folder, so I don't have quite as many as I would otherwise. This one here looks good enough. I'm going to go here. So here we're in our February folder of pictures. And I have, looks like I've got, what is this, 5 files here. I can choose all 5 files at once, as long as I make sure I click somewhere within a blank space and I hold down the Command key on my keyboard and hit the letter A, it will choose all of these files. Once they're selected, as long as I keep my arrow in that darker blue thing and don't let go of it, I'm going to click it, Command A to click everything. If I click and hold my arrow, I can move these things around. I can move it to the marketing, I can move it to the pictures, or if I stay in this white area and let go, they'll stay where they are. And that's using on the Mac the Command key and the A key. If I were on a PC, I would do this with the control key and the letter A. And those are shortcut keys. And there's a ton of them, but these are the ones that are useful as far as moving files and folders. The next strategy you can do if you don't want to choose all the files in a particular drive is you can choose them individually. So if you hold down your Command key if you're using a PC or if you're using a Mac, it would be the Command key if you're using a Mac, it'd be the Control key if you're using a PC. You hold down that one key, you can click every other file. So here I have a collection of files selected, and as long as I click and hold my arrow on this blue highlighted, then I can move all 3 of the files at once to whichever location I'm wanting to move them. And the last one that I'm going to show you as far as moving is the range, selecting a range. So if you click, let's say the top, and you want to get all, these first 3 together, you can click the top, hold the Shift key on your keyboard, and click the bottom file. It'll select everything in between. These selection strategies work within email, within files, work within a ton of different things because they're a very standard set of shortcut keys. And once something is selected, as long as you click in that selection area and hold your mouse down, you can move things about as you want. So this has been a crash course in organizing file folders. Thank you for playing Rescue My Digital Office game with me today. You can go to the game board and the instructions at luxcentric.com/game. Thank you all for joining me, and until next time, I will see you all about the internet.